Well, I think you have to be, steadfast to your commitment. And we're coming from a place we know it's real and we know it's right. And when people see your passion and you can back it up with facts and, the fact of Superstorm Sandy and what happened there, just look at the statistics going back to what temperature was, over the past 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ago. And you can see that it's changing. You definitely can see that it's changing.
Long Island is the largest island in the continental United States, but its landscape is changing fast due to climate change. And what is happening on Long Island is just a microcosm of what is happening around the country and around the world. The land we live on is under threat due to human-caused climate change. It's something some elected officials deny.
President Trump believes climate change is a hoax. We know this because he has said it over and over again.
So Obama's talking about all of this with the global warming and that, and a lot of it's a hoax. It's a hoax. I mean, it's a money-making industry, okay? It's a hoax.
There is at least one Long Island politician who is putting ideology aside to help not just her constituents, but Long Island as a whole. Angie Carpenter, a Republican who has held various local government offices for nearly 30 years, says the issue of climate change should not be political.
There is data and facts that show that this is real. And certainly, I think I'm in a better position to maybe enlighten some people from within rather than trying to do it from the outside if I wasn't a member of the Republican Party. And it saddens me sometimes when, especially if it's a high-level person who is espousing, some of those mistruths. But stay the course.
In 2012, Superstorm Sandy ravaged Long Island, causing massive flooding, major property damage, and power outages. The effects are still being felt today. One of the most threatened areas of Long Island is the barrier island of Fire Island, which is part of Carpenter's jurisdiction.
Protecting the integrity of the barrier, if we didn't have that barrier beach, storms like Sandy would have been worse. Storms that we've had in the past would have been worse. Even nor'easters, even when the tide is high. About a week and a half ago, Ocean Beach was inundated by, like 18 inches to 2 feet of water on the main street on a Wednesday because of high tide. There was no rain, there was no storm, it was just high tide. But that didn't happen 20 years ago. So if anybody thinks that climate change isn't real, it is. We see it.
So specifically on Long Island, yeah, of course, sea level rise is going to be a huge issue going forward. We're going to lose, a lot of coastal property. And not only that, but think about it this way. If you're an insurance company, you're not going to want to insure properties on the water anymore. If you're a mortgage company, you're not going to want to offer mortgages on the water anymore because of rising sea levels. So insurance will be harder to get. It'll be more expensive. Mortgages will be harder to get. It'll be harder for you to sell your home. So I would say economic impacts on Long Island are going to be very big in the coming decades. Maybe not so much this decade, but certainly within mortgage cycles, certainly within 20, 30, 40-year timeframes, it's going to be really hard to justify mortgages and insurance for coastal properties unless we start adapting quickly and changing the way that we build and where we build and how we build.
Human-caused climate change is a scientific fact that Birardelli says is still disputed by some people.
It has to do with ideology. You go in thinking a certain thing, and no amount of facts, I can throw facts at you all day, is ever going to change your mind. What you're going to do, if your ideology is to not believe in climate change, is to go find bits and pieces that may exist on the internet, cherry pick information, so that you don't have to believe in climate change, so that you can justify the way that you feel through your ideologies.
Carpenter says that the safety of her constituents is bigger than ideology.
When you run for an office and you're successful and you raise your right hand and you take an oath to protect all of the people within your municipal jurisdiction, whether it's your village, your town, your state, your country, you're there, you've made a commitment to protect all the people. And everyone has a right, and I think is going to be advocating more to say, we want you working together. We want you working together. I mean, I have an incredible partnership going with our New York State Assemblyman. He's a Democrat. I'm a Republican, but he and I work together on many projects. So I think it's important, and it certainly improves the quality of life of all the residents in the town when you work with everyone that represents the various jurisdictions.
As the clock ticks on humans to act to combat the effects of climate change, Carpenter remains hopeful.
There is a lesson to be learned, and shame on us if we don't learn it. And that, I think, is something that we can talk to people about if they deny climate change. There's a lesson here to be learned, and don't be foolish. Don't repeat the mistakes of the past. In my world, the glass is always half full. Don't ever say it's going to be too late. Don't ever say they're not going to come around. They are going to come around. And if we keep saying that, and we really believe it, that they will come around, they will come around. They'll have no choice. And I think too, as a mother and a grandmother, I worry about, not my kids so much, now my grandkids. I've got an 18-year-old granddaughter and a 7-year-old grandson. And I want this wonderful, wonderful island to be there, to be pristine, to be all it can be for them and their children and future grandchildren.
For Inside Edition Digital, I'm Sal Bono.